Hi there, friends. Welcome to another episode of The Eventful Life. Well, I've got a treat for you today, literally. I'm so excited to be here with Krysta of Sassie Cakes.
Hello.
Hi, Krysta. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. Guys, she makes the most phenomenal, as you can see here, cakes in town, especially ones that are decadent. I mean, she makes different treats, brownies, cupcakes. I hope I'm not making you hungry, but they are amazing. So I'm really excited to be here with her today so we can talk a little bit about how she's been able to do what she does, because she's been in business for a while. And you guessed it, she's also a rock star mom. So Krysta, let's just dive in. Tell me a little bit about, how you got started with Sassie Cakes.
Sassie Cakes really got started. Honestly, it was started when I had children. I'll just start. Okay, so my son was born on Cinco de Mayo. I'm originally from New Mexico, so for his first birthday, I really wanted a taco cake and couldn't find anybody in town that could make such a thing. So I had always kind of had fun with baking and really was into sweets and had kind of decorated like some cakes previously, but that one I was like, okay, I'm going to nail this because nobody in town can do it, and I spent a lot of time researching and just being his birthday on Cinco de Mayo, and I wanted that for sure, and so I made it and I nailed it and it was great.
That is awesome. And then can you imagine a taco cake? I'm like,
oh
my God.
Yeah, so that was the first cake I made, and that's when I kind of realized that it was something, kind of fun, and obviously family came, saw that, and it just kind of exploded from there into more and more things. So that was probably where it all started.
Wow. So it all started with her wanting a taco cake. But honestly, I think, Krysta, a lot of times, I always say this kind of mompreneurship kind of finds us. Like,
yes,
we don't just start out this path like, oh, I know this is what I want to do, for the rest of my life. Yeah. We kind of fall into it.
Absolutely.
But it's such a joy when we do. And so did you start off like in your home? Like, how did you end up in this amazing shop that we're in now?
I did start out in my house making cakes. I have a good friend of mine. I'll give her a shout out, Laura Bell. She was the first person that kind of forced me to sell her a cake. It was a little cow cake. We kind of go back to that all the time every year on her daughter's birthday. That was the first cake I ever sold. But I was really resistant to wanting to sell that. I just always, and even still sometimes, have this belief that I'm not that good, or I don't. What do they call it? Imposter syndrome.
Yeah, imposter
so
syndrome.
I suffer from that a lot.
Know that very well.
So it really did take sort of my friends and family really pushing me and asking me, and my inability to say no.
Wow.
So it kind of started with that, with her selling cakes, and then before I knew it, I had people asking me to do their wedding cakes. Yeah. More and more people asking me to do wedding cakes, and then I got a phone call one day from somebody at the Coliseum, and they were having a bridal show and had invited me to come. It was something I still didn't think I was good enough to really be selling wedding cakes to the general public, but this person, because I had made just a page on Facebook to post my cakes, just for fun, for record, not really because I was looking for business or trying to get business. I was just, this is what I'm making and what we're doing at my house, and just this crazy life, working full time, doing this on the side, wanting to share it.
What were you doing full time at that time? Like, what was your job at that time?
I was a case manager for Department of Child Services. I was facilitating foster care adoption. So I was helping families interested in adopting through the process of adoption, getting approved, and then also trying to match them with children. So meeting with the children and their case managers, learning about them and learning about the families, and trying to make matches.
Wow.
I did that for probably about 10 years, right at 10 years.
I always ask that, the reason I ask that is because I'm always interested to see, like, what were we doing before this kind of found us? Did it have anything to do with, like, what we're doing now? And sometimes it does, but sometimes it doesn't. And sometimes this becomes like our outlet because we
Yes.
didn't feel like we were fulfilled
Absolutely.
in what we were doing.
And that job was had a tendency to be sad. So cakes was really, everybody, for the most part, when they're ordering a cake, it's a celebration. So it was a complete opposite of what I was doing,
what you were doing
daily, was doing, working with sort of sad circumstances at work. So when I came home, I was making cakes and celebrating with everybody. When my other job was definitely not a celebration. So
uplifting outlet.
Yeah, and I just really liked getting to be a part of, even if it was just in a small way, of everybody's life events that they were celebrating, and felt the need to, come to me and have me help with that. Was kind of an honor. I felt really good, that people would want me to be a part of that and those important life events. Yeah.
The other thing that I love, Krysta, that you just touched on, that I really want to point out, is that she mentioned the imposter syndrome, because I think it's such a big thing for us as women to feel sometimes like we're not good enough. Like that, why would somebody want to hire me? Or like she said, this big company, from the Coliseum, this bridal show is calling her, and she's like, I'm not worthy of doing cakes there. But she was, and I think it's important that we surround ourselves with people who will push us and make us see what they see in us, which it sounds like your friend did. So that's awesome.
She did. And kind of the bridal show thing was really, so I signed up to do that, and then about 3 weeks before it started, I found out that the only way I could bring samples for people to try was to have a licensed bakery. So
how did you tackle that one?
I went out and got a licensed bakery. I would not recommend anybody doing that in 3 weeks, because I don't think I slept for 3 weeks. My husband probably almost divorced me every day 3 weeks, but we were in it as a family because I was determined to make this happen, because I'm like, I already paid the money for this bridal show.
You're like, I
refuse to go without samples. I know I can take beautiful cakes, but I know that my stuff tastes good, and I want to put it all out there for everybody. I'm not going to do my first bridal show and only halfway.
That's right.
If I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it all the way. So I did everything I possibly could, making lots of phone calls to the health department and the building department, and begging them, bribing them with cake, and I'll make your anniversary cake. Bribing them with cake, like, please come out here, please help me, I really want this done. And we got it done the day before the bridal show.
Awesome.
And
that's determination. Like, that is pure determination.
I was not going to let an opportunity go by, because
when you know that it's the right opportunity.
So that was how we got started with the brick and mortar. Had I not needed to have a licensed bakery to provide samples, I may not have ever done it. But
and look how that pushed you into your destiny, right? Pushed you into that next level. Even if you had to come kicking and screaming, it still pushed you.
It was hard, and I still had a full-time job then. And so then not only did I have a full-time job, but then I also now, in less than a month, had a bakery that I had to keep up and run.
She's running, right? Running it fiercely. And then on top of that, had you had your kids by then? Had you started growing your family at that point? How was the personal side going?
Yes, I had 2 kids then. They were about, I want to say, around 4 and 6. So they were pretty little, preschool, and I want to say like kindergarten, first grade, around there.
Yep, about the same age as my boys now. So they were little people, which means they still had, needs. Not that ever changes, but
absolutely,
they still have needs, and from her as a mom. So how are you managing that aspect during that time?
Honestly, we decided on a location that was close to my husband's job, close to my job, and close to my babysitter. Awesome. And we ended up switching my son's school because there was a school on that same street. So we took him out of Catholic school and put him in this public school because I could see the school from my shop. This shop was not really the ideal location.
Sure.
And it was nothing fancy. It was nothing gorgeous, but we went in, we painted it, we made it mine.
Yes.
I still have a very special place in my heart for it.
Was that this shop, or was it a different
It was a different shop.
Okay.
It was in awesome. Waynedale. And my daughter that was in preschool, she just hung out there with me. So she would go to school in the morning, and there was a lot of like driving back and forth and really long hours, and I didn't sleep a lot, but she would hang out with me at the shop. I made her a little area to play, and she would play under my feet and
of course,
kind of get into things and help in her way, help.
Yes.
And then my son would come over after school, and I would have both my kids there with me for a few hours after school every day. So I was, and this was after I quit my job. I quit my job soon after this, a few months after we ended up with, because I realized this is way too much.
It was time for her to put both feet into this.
Yeah, and that was very scary, not knowing if this was going to happen. Yeah, I just was like, I can't work full time and then also be running this shop that I all of a sudden opened. But
plus raise kids
and also raise kids and somehow manage to get them all to school and back and wherever they need, soccer, baseball,
all the things,
dance. Yeah. So.
But how awesome is that for your kids to be exposed to this at a young age? Now, how old are they now?
Now they are, my daughter just turned 10. My son will be 13 in May, and I also have a 4-year-old.
Wow.
So.
Wow. And so, like, what do do they ever talk about how, hey, mama owns like this bakery and I've seen her grow it for like the last, 5-6 years, like, do they ever talk about that? How does that look to them?
They do. They're really, I feel like they have a lot of pride. I feel like my family doesn't really think of this as my shop, but our shop.
That's
we all are pretty involved, maybe not so much during the day, but all the behind the scenes of stuff that happens at home that people don't realize. It's an all day, every day, even when you're not
Once
here.
You leave here, you got to go home and still are on the job.
Very much
because
so.
You've got homework, you've got baths, you've got dinner. I mean, it doesn't stop just because she put the clothes sign up at the shop.
Exactly. So I feel like they have a lot of pride. My son recently has started helping.
Nice. Here at the shop?
So he is pretty comfortable with running the front. He's a pretty charming kid, so customers usually kind of like him.
He's got a future.
Yeah, he's a pretty good at following recipes and baking, and he does a lot of baking at home.
Wow.
So I feel like they like it. They like to tell their friends, especially when I do different things like interviews or news. They like to tell their friends, like, look what my mom did, and that kind of makes me feel good. That they're proud of me and they're proud of their contribution to it too, because they'll go on deliveries, and
that's really awesome.
So they're very involved.
That's really awesome. I think it's important to share that part, because sometimes we think, I know I am guilty of it, of thinking, how is this going to impact my kid's life? Is this going to totally disrupt their life and their growing up and just having a regular lifestyle? But, in fact, it's going to add to their life.
I think so. Yeah, I've definitely worried about that a lot.
Yeah. I mean, we all do.
Yeah.
But, it sounds like your kiddos are embracing it.
Hopefully as much as I think they are.
And becoming these like cool kids who are going to know everything about cake, right?
Yeah. I know there's sometimes they don't fully embrace it, but for the most part, I feel like
they do.
They're pretty cool with it. Yeah.
And you have that tug of war, where I'm sure they got their moments, of course.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about, after how many years now in business?
So having like a brick and mortar, I'm on my 6th year.
Okay. So, I mean, and that's actually something very commendable, especially to have brick and mortar, have overhead.
Yeah.
So which means you have to, worry about that cost and how to make sure your revenue is offsetting it. How do you feel like you've been able to, or what do you think is the biggest thing that's helped you to be sustainable and to continue to stand out in this market here?
For me, honestly, I really just think it's been, and this, I don't know how this sounds or if it's really a good answer, but just being me.
Yeah, no, that's a great answer.
I think all of my customers, I really do feel like I form a friendship with a lot of them.
Yeah.
They all, for the most part, I feel like come in, they know me, they know my husband, they know my kids. I feel like they know that every cake I make is very important. It's, even if a small one is just as important as a big one. I put a lot of love and care and concern. And I always tell people, even the littlest cakes, I'm nervous for every single one that gets picked up.
And I'll testify to that, because she just made my 3-year-old's PJ Masks cake, and when I picked it up, guys, she literally was like, is this okay? Do you think he's going to like it? And I'm like,
Yeah.
are you kidding me? It is amazing.
Yeah. So I really do. I'm like always nervous. And I feel like if that ever went away, then that might be a bad thing. But I think that's kind of what sets me apart is it's not just, I really appreciate every single person that comes in here and supports me. So I want to help you back. And, yeah, and I think just being true to ourselves, I'm not anybody fancy or, you know, I'm just doing my thing, trying to raise my family, be a mom, and support them. So,
yeah, which is admirable, right? I mean, it really
I
is.
try.
It really is. But I think, like you said, being true to you, not feeling like, oh, I need to be somebody else or do something that somebody else is doing. I think it does keep you true to who you are, and it keeps you original. And
I think also it's really hard to not get into this need for quantity over quality. Right. So that's probably been my
a good nugget right there.
Biggest struggle is, you know, turning down orders for the sake of preserving the quality of the other ones that I have. So I could easily take every order that comes in, but I know that everything else would suffer. So it's hard to turn some things down for the sake of making everything good. It'd be easy to take all that stuff, all those orders, you know, make hundreds of things,
and do this massive production. But
when I did open my shop, that was the first thing I said that I did not ever want to do. That I would rather do a few really, really good cakes every week than 50 like mediocre cakes a week. So
exactly, I think that is one of the things that really keeps people in business. It is when you understand it's quality over quantity, you know.
Yeah, and it's hard because people want things, and it's hard to tell people, no, I'm not going to take your money.
But like to say no, like we struggle with saying no sometimes.
Yeah,
that's
it's
awesome.
very, very hard.
I love that. I love that. I hope you guys, you know, really took that away, because it is hard to say no. It is difficult to, you know, understand that sometimes you have to look at the bigger picture, and it's also you protecting your brand. Like she's put so much work into creating this wonderful brand, and so if you don't deliver the excellence that people are used to, that brand gets harmed. Yeah. So that's awesome. So tell me one piece of advice, because I know we have some moms out there who are looking at these fabulous cakes, and they're like, oh my gosh, you know, I would love to do something like this, or maybe just something in the creative realm, but they're not sure where to get started, or maybe they're just wondering, you know, can I even do this? What piece of advice would you leave with them?
The one thing that I kind of learned and have been, so basically I could go into why, but if the idea scares you, you should probably do it.
Oh, I love it.
So sometimes the scariest things are the things worth doing the most.
Yes.
So
yes. If it scares you, do it.
Because it'll have the biggest payoff. That's really why. Opening a store, quitting my job was the scariest thing I ever did. It was the hardest decision. And it was definitely one of the most exciting and worth the things I've ever done. So
and look at you now. I mean,
I know, who would ever. I'm so excited. Sometimes I still think I always dreamed of having a cute little bakery downtown, even when I was a kid, and I didn't realize that was actually, you know, like I didn't realize that until later. Like I used to think about this when I was a kid and never really thought about it. But then it was a dog bakery, but
hey,
only for bakery. Pets. Yeah, so I was only going to be making stuff for dogs, but. And then here I am. I have a shop downtown. So
wow. Talk about the power of, you know, dreaming, right? Willing to dream and dream big, even if you don't know, you know, that that's what it is at the time. Well, Krysta, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I hope that you guys enjoyed this. I would love for you to share. How can they find you? How can they connect with you? And do you do orders? That's what I meant to ask you too. Is do you do orders online, or is it just local?
I do just local right now. Okay. So I'm considering doing some things that can be shipped, but right now it's for the most part just local.
Okay, so hey, you got to come to Fort Wayne if you want her cakes, okay?
Yeah.
Don't ask me to ship one because it may not make it.
Right, yeah. I have some things that would ship pretty good. Yeah. It's just the manpower of getting things packed up and shipped.
Well,
so.
I mean, I might eat it before it can go get
exactly,
there.
Yeah.
So how can they find you online?
So you can find me, my website is sassiecakes.com, and that's Sassy with an IE. You can see it back there. My Facebook is Sassie Cakes Fort Wayne, or Sassie Cakes FW. There's a lot of different Sassie Cakes, so make sure you find the one in Fort Wayne and don't order from one somewhere else because that has happened. And again, with the IE. And on Instagram, it's Sassy and then _cakes.
Awesome, awesome. Well, I hope you guys have enjoyed another episode of The Eventful Life. Remember, life is all an event to be experienced. Thank you guys so much. See you next time.